Hello team, welcome to another ATP Geopolitics video with myself, Jonathan MS Pearce. Now, I've shown you this video before, but I want to do it as a separate standalone video so I can refer back to it and know where it is. This is one of my favourite interviews recently. I'm going to do two interviews, separate videos, so I'll do another one in a second with Victoria Derbyshire interviewing someone. But here we have Julia Hartley-Brewer interviewing Richard Tice. Now, the context of this, for those who don't know British politics and don't know British media, is Talk TV is this new upstart kind of Fox News wannabe that is essentially, broadly speaking, right-wing voices, interviewing right-wing voices. Julia Hartley-Brewer is someone who, other than this interview, I detest, right? I do not like Julia Hartley-Brewer. In every other context I've ever seen her, she has infuriated me, right? Here, she is magnificent. She is absolutely magnificent. Richard Tice was the leader of Reform UK, which is the MAGA party in UK, the equivalent, effectively, that has split the vote of the Conservative Party and taken the populist votes away from the Conservatives, leaving them kind of in no man's land. Now, Richard Tice was leading the party, and then Nigel Farage came back on the scene and basically had an administrative coup and took over himself. But Richard Tice is still super important within Reform, and here he is reacting to bear in mind this was some time back, this is about a week ago, before all of the Trump and Zelensky spats and so on and so forth. But this is Tice essentially parroting Russian talking points and being massively called out by Julia Hartley-Brewer, who knows her stuff about Ukraine and has a very clear moral outlook here, which comes through in the interview. I'm just going to let this play through, but I might have some expressions of delight as this goes.
It's Russia that's killing people. If Russia stopped fighting, if Russia wanted to end the war, if Russia stopped fighting, Russia could just stop fighting and there wouldn't be a war. No one would be killed.
And that would be
great.
Hey,
our job done.
Yeah,
well, why doesn't the West take that to Russia?
Ultimately, maybe that's what the negotiations are.
Which part of Britain would you give away if we were invaded and you wanted to negotiate peace?
None at all.
Oh, so we wouldn't give away any of Britain.
But
it's okay to give away a bit of Ukraine.
Hang on, it's not us giving it away, Julia. Right? It's Ukraine, and
Ukraine doesn't want to give it away.
Of course it doesn't. But ultimately, as everybody said, it is Zelensky's decision. But ultimately, we've got to stop killing people.
If we were invaded and our close allies in NATO, like the United States, basically supported us for a bit, but gave us just enough support so we could actually not lose, but we'd not enough to win.
Yeah.
And after 3 years, whoever was president of the United States
said, "You're in a stronger position from which to try and negotiate a solution."
So at which point Donald Trump, let me finish. Says, "Oh, well, we're going to have a negotiation. But we're going to let the Russians, whoever invaded us, keep part of territory." Just clarify. Just how much of British territory would you be willing to give away in those negotiations?
On Northern Ireland, chap. Ultimately, in Northern Ireland, there was a negotiation to stop the killing. It involved horrendous compromises that lots of people didn't want to make.
We didn't give away territory.
We stopped killing people.
We didn't give away territory.
That's also correct.
We didn't give away territory to invading force. That's a ridiculous analogy.
No, it's a completely valid analogy.
Sorry, who invaded Northern Ireland?
Wars stop when people stop killing people.
No, wars stop when one side is defeated.
Look.
Sorry, have you heard of the Second World War?
Yes.
Did we negotiate the ending of the Second World War?
Have you heard of there are lots of other wars where ultimately people negotiate a peace. Otherwise, you just carry on. How long are we going to carry on with this?
Falklands.
Yeah, Falklands we won.
Oh, yeah. We didn't just negotiate with Argentina and give them some of the Falklands.
No, but there's plenty of other...
Why not? That would have stopped the war, Richard. Why not?
Look, ultimately, we won that war, but there are other wars where it's a negotiated settlement.
Because it's not our problem. Except it will be our problem when Vladimir Putin thinks he can take any territory of any country in Europe that he darn well pleases.
And that's why the negotiation is about what is the strength of what is put in place to stop him going any further. That's why I've always said...
What's going to stop him going any further? We've just said you can take Crimea, you can take the Donbass.
That's the whole point of the negotiation. Is Ukraine going to join NATO and therefore benefit from the Article 4? Well, that's the point of the negotiation.
Well, there's no negotiation, is it? Is there? There's no negotiation. The Secretary of State already...
I am going to stop it here because this is exactly right. So she's absolutely magnificent. Like, we're going to let Russia keep some of the land. Well, you know, what about security guarantees. He's like, he's basically dug himself his own grave there, because he's on the one hand said, well, they need security guarantees. On the other hand, said they can't be a part of NATO. You're like, well, okay, how does this work?
Understand how President Trump works. He starts out in one position. That doesn't mean that's where he settles. The whole point of a negotiation, you set out positions and then you work out where you're going to finish.
You know what you don't do in a negotiation? You set out a position where you've given the other side everything that they want.
And that's not what I suspect.
It's literally what they've done in the last 24 hours.
I completely disagree.
I just thought Reform cared about national borders.
We do absolutely care about national borders.
Not all of them. Okay.
But equally, we don't want to carry on killing people. We're not killing people. But ultimately, somehow, the war has got to stop. It's gone on for 3 years. How long do we keep it going? A decade? 2 decades?
How long would you fight for this country?
Until I'm dead.
Well, exactly. That's what the Ukrainian people would ideally do if they were given support. But that war could have been won a long time ago if we'd given support.
Yeah, but there are lots of Ukrainian people who would like to find a way to end this war, including the president.
Let's not use up all our time on this. I'm disappointed in people who believe in national security.
Trying to explore ways to stop killing people.
Well, tell your big mate Donald Trump to tell his big mate Vladimir Putin to stop killing people. Then we can solve that problem like that.
It's just delightful. So you've got this real populist viewpoint coming from Richard Tice that clearly doesn't make any sense. He's clearly exhibiting double standards. If he was in that situation himself, vis-a-vis the UK being invaded, he would find that completely unacceptable. So why is it acceptable for us to dictate to Ukraine that they give away some of their land and not provide them security guarantees? So Julia Hartley-Brewer here absolutely destroys. She shreds Richard Tice, and that's fantastic. Not least because it is putting forth great arguments to dispel poor arguments, just in general. But also, it's where this is happening. This is happening on Talk TV, which is your Fox News equivalent in the UK. This new kind of upstart channel, a bit like GB News, came along after GB News. Both of these channels are potential hotbeds for populist viewpoints like Tice's, right? And so it's really good that Julia Hartley-Brewer, as one of the central hosts there, has it right and is taking to task these people who she would, and you could tell there, she said, well, I thought Reform UK would be really strong on borders. Like, otherwise, I'm supportive of Reform UK, she's kind of saying here. But on this topic, you are just dead wrong. And she takes him to task and doesn't let him get away with spinning this in a really inappropriate manner. I love this interview. It's absolutely brilliant. She is great. And that's something I never thought in my life I would ever say. But anyway, I thought I'd put that permanently on the channel in this short video. I will do the same to Victoria Derbyshire's interview with a spokesperson, sort of, for the Trump administration. So go and check that one out.